This is the first gingerbread house I've made in 25 years. Keep watching to find out why. I want to eat it right now. It smells so good. This is the... Okay. This is the... Oh, shit. When I was 5 years old, my grandfather was my best friend. We talked and played, and when I had a bad day or I got in trouble and my parents were yelling at me, I'd call him and he'd come pick me up and take me to Jim Dandy's for ice cream. Soft serve with rainbow sprinkles. And we'd talk. And he'd listen. He listened to me. He cared. He cared what I was experiencing and what I was feeling. And I always felt better after I hung out with him. When I was 5 years old, my grandfather and I made a gingerbread house together. And that was the last time I ever made a gingerbread house. Because in January 1999, my grandfather died in his sleep. And I lost my best friend. I was so angry. I was angry at everyone. I was angry at myself. I was angry at God. I was so angry that I took pictures of my grandfather and me and hid behind a chair in my grandmother's living room and cut them apart. And halfway through cutting them up, a little voice inside of me asked, "What if you don't remember what he looks like?" And I stopped cutting. I was so angry that I never cried. For years and years and years. It wasn't until 2019 when my grandmother passed away that I finally cried. I was standing in the basement, looking around, and I realized that my grandma had left everything exactly the way it was when he died. All of his things were exactly where he left them. The calendar in his reading nook was still open to January 1999. And I lost it. And all the grief, that I didn't let myself feel for 20 years came up all at once. And I finally had a release. Since 2019, I've had a lot of realizations, and I've learned a lot about myself and about life. I realized that my next door neighbor, who's lonely and talks for a really long time, is a lot like my grandfather. He reads a lot of books, and he's really inventive and creative. He's always building random things in his garage, and now I get to feel like on some level I'm getting to know my grandfather, or at least parts of him, a little bit better through my neighbor as an adult. So this past Sunday, when I went to my friend's house to make gingerbread houses with a group of women, I didn't realize that I hadn't made a gingerbread house since I was 5 until I sat down and started icing the pieces of the house together. I realized that the last time I made a gingerbread house was with my grandpa, 25 years ago. And my grief didn't let me make another one because it hurt too much. And now here I am sitting down at a table making a gingerbread house. I remembered him throughout the entire experience, talking with the girls at the table, sharing stories while we created something and had fun. It was a healing experience for me. The holidays are supposed to be about joy and giving and receiving and love and spending time with your loved ones, family, and friends. But there's also an element of grief connected to the holidays. We've all lost somebody that we love. Some of us have had a lot of loss and experience a lot of grief and a lot of pain, especially around now, around this time of year. I've heard that grief is love with nowhere to go. But after allowing myself to truly grieve, I feel like that love does go somewhere. Grief doesn't go away. You don't move on from it. You integrate it. It becomes a part of you. And if you can see it as love and move it into your heart, magic can happen. You move from feeling sad and pain and missing them when you're reminded of them, to smiling at the memory, because you've transmuted that grief into love, because you've realized that grief is love, and that love is inside of you. It was always yours. You gave it to them while they were here. And now that they've transformed and moved on to their next adventure, you get that love back. And you get to carry it with you for the rest of your life. Every time I make a gingerbread house, I'll have my grandpa with me. He'll be right there with me. And it doesn't have to hurt anymore. The love is alive inside of you. And it can't go anywhere. It's not going to leave you. It's yours. It's inside and it's everywhere. It's everywhere you look. You can find them if you look. Grief is love. For anyone experiencing grief during this holiday season, please use the comment section as a safe space to tell your story, so we can come together in community and realize that we're not alone. We have each other. We have our experiences. We have the ability to share. Grief and love are both universal. Let's use this time to come together. Thank you for watching.